Greetings, Wyslouch here. Welcome to Musical Weekly Quick Tips. This week's quick tip: understand the derivation and the properties of the modes of the major scale. In the key of C, we're playing in C major. There's 7 notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C is the center of gravity. It's the 1. All the notes relate back to C. D is the major second. E is the major third of C. We're in this cloud of everything relating back to C. Cool. So now when we say, let's play the second mode of C major, we're shifting the center of gravity. We're shifting the focus. So all of a sudden, the focus becomes not the first note, but the second note, because we're playing the second mode of the C major scale, D. So D becomes our reference point. How do we put that into practice? Well, when somebody says play the second mode of C major, you can imply the second note being the center of gravity by starting and ending the C major scale with the second note, a D. D has now become the 1. E, instead of being the 3, has become the 2 of the second mode. Very cool. So now we understand the derivation. And we can do this for modes 1 through 7. Third mode, the third note of the major scale becomes the reference, the 1, the center of gravity, etc. Conveniently, there's specific names for each one of these modes. It's good to learn these names and memorize them like a robot. First mode, Ionian. Second mode, Dorian. Third mode, Phrygian. Fourth mode, Lydian. Fifth mode, Mixolydian. Sixth mode, Aeolian. Seventh mode, Locrian. We've talked about the derivation, so you could derive any of these modes. Oh, Stash, play me the 7th mode, the Locrian mode of B major. No problem, I'd say. A sharp Locrian, coming right at you. Each one of these modes, despite the fact that they share the notes of their parent major scale, has completely unique properties. We can determine these properties by talking about scale degrees. Let's look at the second mode of C major, the D Dorian mode. D is the 1. E is the 2. F is now the flat 3 or minor third. Interesting. G is the 4th. A is the 5th. B is the 6th. C is the flat 7 or minor 7. And then we go back to the 1, which is D. So when I think of the properties of a Dorian mode, I think of the fact that it has a flat 3 and a flat 7. Mixolydian, the 5th mode, is the same as major except it's got a flat 7 instead of a major 7. Lydian is the same as major except it's got a sharp 4 instead of a perfect 4 or natural 4. Dorian has got the flat 3 and the flat 7. Phrygian has a flat 2, flat 3, flat 6, flat 7. Aeolian, synonymous with the natural minor scale, which we'll talk about at some point in the near future. A flat 3, a flat 6, a flat 7. Locrian, flat 2, flat 3, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. So at the end of the day, I may understand this in theory, I may be able to memorize this, but really what ends up happening is I start thinking of the major scale not just as one scale, but as 7 independent scales with 7 independent sets of 5 positions across the neck. That might seem like a lot, might seem overwhelming. It is. But take it one step at a time. If I were to suggest one thing after this video, if this is the first time you're dealing with modes, start with the 5th mode, Mixolydian, and see if you can convert all your major scales that you already know into Mixolydian by just taking that major 7 and moving it down a half step to the flat 7. G major, G Mixolydian. It's good to know that G Mixolydian is derived from C major, but ultimately I want to know G Mixolydian as its own thing. I don't want to have to make the conversion process every time I want to execute a Mixolydian sound of its parent major scale. Stay tuned, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Next week's video we'll talk about more practical applications, how to take this theoretical modal knowledge and apply it to maybe some fiddle tunes, songs you might know and love, and incorporate these new sounds into your playing and into your ears. See you next week. Please check out the Patreon for supplemental materials.